It's gonna be 90+ degrees today. My tomatoes are just now hitting their stride and really starting to produce well. And I'm harvesting the very last of my spring crops. It is full-on summer gardening here in Kentucky. Cooler weather is months away, and yet I am starting my fall garden now, because if I wait any longer, it's actually gonna be too late. And starting a fall garden far too late is a mistake that I have made for the past several years. This year, I am finally going to rectify that, because I always think, you know, cool weather crops, you know, they bolt when it gets warm, so why would I even think about starting them in August, let alone July? But those crops really need to be in place before the cool weather hits. They need that time to maturity. I already started Brussels sprouts inside a week ago, maybe over a week ago, because it really needs that time to mature. If you look at the last frost date here in Louisville, Kentucky, that is around the end of October, beginning of November. So still a ways away. But some of the crops that I'll be growing, that most people will be growing in their gardens, take a long time to maturity. Some varieties can take 60, 70, 80, 90, even 100+ days for maturity. And while you may have that many days left on the calendar before your frost, you also have to realize that once we've passed the summer solstice, days are getting shorter. Every single day is having less sunlight, and sunlight being the energy that plants need to grow. So you need to add extra time for them to grow with that diminishing sunlight. A good rule of thumb is to add 10 to 15 days onto that time of maturity. So 2 additional weeks before you're starting to get that frost. And it's gonna be different for every single crop, because some crops will improve when it does get colder, but they're not gonna be doing a whole lot of growing. You really wanna get them to maturity before it gets cold. And then they're almost in a stasis. They may not die, but they're really not going to be adding on a whole lot more size. I would say it's definitely summertime. Now, certain crops are definitely going to mature a lot faster, like these radishes. These are just 22 days on this radish, and this is a heat-tolerant variety, the Sora radish. So, got these from Johnny's. But then other crops, like, so this is a red cabbage, the red ace, what does this say? 76 days to harvest on this. So definitely want to get those seeds started now. And then this red dragon carrot, 90 days. 90 days on this red dragon carrot. So I'm going to go clean out a bed that is brassicas that are pretty much all done, and that bed is going to turn into a carrot bed, starting with sowing these dragon carrots. And as I pull out these cabbages, one thing that I definitely do not do a good job of in the spring is succession planting, where I have a whole bunch of stuff come on all at once. But in the winter, it is a little bit better. Because it gets cold, the growth starts slowing down, things can actually hold their maturity for much longer. That succession planting isn't as much of a worry. That's one of the reasons I like fall gardening so much. Michelle's harvesting carrots for her first time. How's it going? Oh, we got a break. Did you push down first?
I did.
Okay. So this secret, or at least the way I do it, I expose the top, I give it a little wiggle, then push down, then pull up. Because you want to feel it actually go down. Because that way it sort of widens the hole. Got to have a wide hole. Bumper crop right there. You won't even focus on it, it's so small. That's what she said. Oh, nice product review, hands. This is going to the compost bin, and now this is ready for carrots. Now for your fall garden, you're going to be growing crops that survive or even thrive and get better with cooler and freezing temperatures. Things, of course, that are frost sensitive are all the things you think about in summer. Beans, basil, squash, cucumbers, tomatoes, peppers. Those things, once it drops below 32, they're toast. But things that are frost tolerant, now this is going to vary a little bit between each of these, are things like carrots, beets, radishes, kale, collards, chard, broccoli, cabbage, and then several varieties of lettuce. So frost tolerant, so they survive at light frost from 32 down to 28 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll put what that is in Celsius right here. And then your hardy crops, those would be things that can go below 28, spinach, matcha, overwintering leeks, and garlic that's planted in the fall and then harvested in the summer. I had a pretty good crop this year of my garlic. So I tend to plant that for me in December. Some people say for Kentucky you should be doing it in October. I've done it December for the past 2 years and have had great results. With your frost tolerant things like carrots, broccoli, cabbage, kale, those actually get sweeter once they get a little bit of frost on them. They get that frost kiss. Thing like Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts, those taste way better after they have some cold because it converts a lot of the starches into sugar in the plant. I think that helps with freezing, making them more resilient to those sub-freezing temperatures, but I will fact check myself on that. So they taste better once they get that cold temperature, but they're not doing a lot of growing. So again, that's why we're starting them now to have them reach maturity before the cooler weather, because then they're just creeping along or just remaining in a steady state. So it's mid-July. What am I planting now? Well, I already have Brussels sprouts going. I've got cabbages. I'm sowing carrots today, more radishes, probably some beets. And then here's the breakdown of my week-by-week schedule for me in Kentucky. It's going to be a little bit different depending on where you're at. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, outside Louisville, Kentucky. This is the schedule that I'm going with. And you'll see that most of my planting, if not all of my fall gardening, is done by September. Now, when my first crops are ready to be transplanted out, it's going to be August. August in Kentucky is very, very hot. So I'm going to need to be careful about how I'm transplanting them out. I'll definitely be using shade cloth for at least the first week, if not longer, to cut some of that sun intensity. And then I'm going to plant in the evening. So in the evening, so they have a longer time, overnight, just try to get established a little bit, make sure I'm watering them well, and just be very cognizant of the heat and the stress that they could be going through. Because it is counterintuitive of planting fall crops when it is still silly hot. But with these things in mind, I think that I'm going to have a great fall garden, and I hope you do too. If you have any questions about fall gardening in general, let me know in a comment down below. Let me know your tips and tricks for having a good fall garden. My name is Tyler Lloyd, and I wish you the very best. And I'm going to work on tying up and trimming my tomatoes. See you next time. Bye.